Did you hear about Trump's latest move? He's bringing in foreign workers, and honestly, it feels different this time. For years, it was America first, bring the jobs home, and now, suddenly, the very man who built his platform on protecting American workers is opening the gates to foreign labor. They're calling it a temporary skills program, mentors from overseas to teach Americans how to build ships and semiconductors. But I've been around long enough to know that temporary in Washington often means permanent. Just as that debate heated up, Democrats dropped a fresh batch of Jeffrey Epstein emails, and guess whose name showed up? Trump's. Not hundreds of times, not dozens, but three. 3 emails out of hundreds of thousands, and the media pounced like it was the story of the century. So, I dug in, and what I found tells a much bigger story about the people doing the leaking than the man they're trying to destroy. It seems whenever Washington gets nervous, they reach for a distraction, and this week, they needed a big one. We're talking about Trump's foreign worker plan, which is really testing his loyalty to his base, and those Epstein emails, which are unraveling faster than Democrats ever expected. These stories might seem different, but they both show us something about this moment we're living in, a time when every move, every leak, every deal feels like part of a much bigger fight for control. Yeah. This whole foreign worker thing started quietly. Trump's administration confirmed plans to expand HEB visas, a program that lets companies bring in workers from overseas for specialized jobs. We're talking potentially tens to hundreds of thousands over the next few years. If you're not familiar with H-EB, think of it like hiring a contractor from another country to do work that used to be done by your neighbor. The government says we don't have enough people trained for roles in semiconductor manufacturing, shipbuilding, and advanced tech. The reasoning sounds straightforward. America offshored so many industries that we don't have the workforce ready to jump back in. So the idea is to bring in experienced workers from places like Taiwan and South Korea, people who have been building chips their whole lives, and have them teach Americans how to do it again. It's framed as a mentorship program, a temporary bridge. But here's the rub. A lot of folks who voted for Trump did so because he promised to put American workers first. His whole pitch was about bringing jobs back home, protecting wages, and rebuilding the middle class. So when people hear that hundreds of thousands of foreign workers are about to fill these brand new manufacturing jobs, the ones who were told would go to Americans, it feels like something doesn't add up. And honestly, they're not wrong to be confused. This is a sharp turn from the message that won him the election. Now, I'm not saying there isn't some logic. If you want to build a semiconductor plant in Arizona and nobody there knows how to operate the equipment, you have a problem. You can't just pull someone off an unemployment line and hand them a blueprint for a microchip. These are specialized, often dangerous jobs. The argument is, we need people who already know what they're doing to get these facilities up and running and pass that knowledge on. And this is a big but, the skepticism comes from experience. We've seen this movie before. Temporary programs have a funny way of becoming permanent. Guest worker arrangements meant to last a few years end up lasting decades. When companies realize they can hire skilled workers from other countries for less money, the economic incentive to keep those workers around becomes incredibly strong. That's where the real friction is. It's not just about whether Americans can do the job, it's about whether they'll ever get the chance. So what exactly pushed Trump to make this move? On one level, there's the practical side. So he's been making deals globally, bringing massive investments from foreign companies here to the US. That's a win, no question. But these companies didn't agree to come here just out of goodwill. They wanted assurances. They wanted to bring their own teams, their own experts to make sure things got done right. And that's where the HEB program comes in. It's part of the deal. Here's what the administration isn't saying as loudly. this isn't just about filling a skills gap, it's about economics. Workers from countries like India or South Korea, even highly skilled engineers, are all willing to work for significantly less than their American counterparts. We're talking people with advanced degrees earning perhaps Cersers to shilling a year. Compare that to what an American worker with similar qualifications would expect, maybe double or triple that amount. And you start to see why corporations push so hard for these visa programs. It's not charity, it's cost savings. And that has real consequences. Young Americans graduating with degrees in engineering or computer science are entering a job market where they're competing not just with each other, but with a wave of foreign workers willing to accept lower wages. It's not that these foreign workers are doing anything wrong, they're just trying to build a better life. But the effect is that wages get driven down, opportunities shrink, and a generation of American workers ends up underemployed or unemployed. Right now, youth unemployment is hovering near 5%, one of the highest in years. That's not a coincidence. So you've got this tension. On one hand, the administration says, we need these workers temporarily to rebuild industries we lost. On the other hand, a lot of people are saying, wait, we were promised those jobs. We were told this was about making America great again, about putting Americans first, and now it feels like we're being told we're not good enough, that we need to be taught by people from other countries. That doesn't sit well. It feels like broken faith. But this isn't just about economics, it's about identity and loyalty. During his first campaign, Trump actually signaled he wanted to scale back or even end the HEB program, calling it a way for companies to undercut American workers. His base loved that message. It was bold, clear, America first in its purest form. But then something happened. The billionaire donor class, the corporate wing of the Republican Party, pushed back hard. That moment was really the first big crack in the mega coalition. You had the populist wing, who wanted closed borders and protected wages, squaring off against the corporate wing, who wanted global talent and cheap labor. Trump, caught in the middle, ended up siding with the donors. He reversed course, kept the HEB program in place, even quietly expanded it. Ever since, there's been this simmering resentment, a sense that maybe the movement got hijacked, and now that internal clashes has gone public, you've got talk radio hosts, independent commentators, grassroots activists all raising alarms, saying, this isn't what we signed up for. We didn't vote to hand over the best jobs in the new economy to workers from halfway around the world. We voted to rebuild this country with our own hands, our own people, and they're not being unreasonable. This is a legitimate question of priorities. Do you prioritize speed and efficiency, even if it means sidelining American workers in the short term? Or do you prioritize loyalty to the people who put you in office, even if it means things take a little longer? There's no easy answer, and these are hard questions to ask. But the frustration is real, and it's loud. You've got young people especially feeling like they're being shut out of the future they were promised. They went to school, got degrees, did everything right, and now they're watching jobs go to people on temporary visas who might not even stay in the country long term. It stings, and it's creating a rift that Trump is going to have to address if he wants to keep his coalition intact. This isn't just a policy debate, it's a test of trust. Trump built his brand on being the guy who fights for the forgotten American, the factory worker, the small town kid who didn't go to an Ivy League school but still deserves a shot. If that brand starts to feel hollow, if people start to think he's just another politician cutting deals that benefit the rich and powerful, that's a problem, not just for him, but for the entire movement he represents. And while that storm raged, Washington suddenly got hit with another one, an entirely different kind of controversy. Just as the HEB debate was reaching a fever pitch, Democrats in Congress decided it was time to play a different card. It was the first official day back in session after the government shutdown, and instead of focusing on policy, they leaked a new batch of documents tied to Jeffrey Epstein. You remember Epstein, the financier, the convicted criminal, the guy whose web of connections touched some of the most powerful people in the world before his death in a federal jail cell. The timing wasn't subtle. Democrats had just spent over a month in a brutal shutdown standoff that made them look obstructionist and out of touch. Polls were turning against them. Approval was sinking. They needed a reset, a way to shift the narrative. And what better way than to dredge up a scandal involving Trump? So they released emails, messages, call logs, documents that had been sitting in storage for years, just waiting for the right political moment. The media predictably jumped on it. Headlines screamed that Trump's name had appeared in newly released Epstein files. Cable news spent hours speculating. Social media lit up. It was designed to create maximum damage, to plant doubt, to make people wonder, and for a few hours it worked. But then something interesting happened. People actually started reading the emails, and when they did, the story didn't quite go the way Democrats expected. Out of the hundreds of thousands of pages released, Trump's name showed up in 3 emails. Just 3. And the content? It wasn't incriminating, it was almost the opposite. One email between Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell mentioned a victim had spent time at Trump's property but had never implicated him in anything. The phrase they used was striking. The dog that hasn't barked is Trump. In other words, despite all the opportunities they had to accuse him, nobody did. He was around, sure, but he never took the bait. Another email mentioned something about Mar-a-Lago, Trump's private club. It said Trump had asked someone to stop bringing certain people around, that he'd noticed inappropriate behavior and wanted it to end. The email actually said Trump had asked Ghislaine Maxwell herself to stop whatever was going on multiple times.